Okay, girl, sit down because this one is messy. Messy. Like the kind of story where you start connecting dots and suddenly everything feels off. So you remember how people always brushed off those old clips of Diddy Combs hanging around young artists like it was just mentorship? Yeah. Now people are looking back at those same videos very differently. There's this clip that keeps resurfacing, right, where Diddy is talking about spending 48 hours with a young Justin Bieber, and the way he says it, it's not giving normal. He's like, we can't really disclose what we're doing, but at the same time, calling it a 5-year-old's dream. And I'm sorry, but what does that even mean? Because that doesn't sound like studio sessions or career advice. That sounds secretive. And here's where it gets even deeper. People are now bringing up how Usher was basically the bridge between Justin and Diddy. Like Usher discovered Justin alongside Scooter Braun, got involved in that whole bidding war situation, and once he secured Justin, he introduced him straight into Diddy's world. Now, pause for a second. Because this is the same Usher who has openly admitted that when he was younger, he was sent to live with Diddy at like 13 or 14. He literally said being around that environment exposed him to things he wasn't ready for. Grown women, adult situations, clubs, all of that. He even said it affected him long term, like sleep issues, trauma type effects. So now people are asking the obvious question. If you knew how messed up that experience was for you, why would you send another kid into that same situation? That's where the whole cycle narrative comes in. And I'm telling you, once people started saying that, it stuck. And then you go back and watch that old video of Justin with Diddy, and it hits different. Diddy is promising him crazy stuff, cars, mansions, talking about what he'll get when he turns 18. And Justin is just standing there smiling, but also looking kind of unsure. Like he doesn't fully get what's going on, but he knows it's a big deal. And that's the thing that's making people uncomfortable now. Because it doesn't look like mentorship. It looks like grooming, at least from the outside. Then there's another layer. Apparently, at some point, Justin distanced himself from Diddy, like completely stopped hanging around him. And people are trying to figure out why. Because usually in the industry, those relationships only get stronger, not disappear. There's even that awkward clip where Diddy is basically calling Justin out for not keeping in touch anymore. And Justin is like, you never really had my number. It felt tense, like something happened behind the scenes that we don't know about. And you know how the internet is, once people start speculating, it goes all the way. Suddenly there are rumors about what might have gone on during those years. Allegations, theories, all of that. None of it confirmed, but the energy around it definitely shifted. And then people started bringing up other clips, party footage. Justin looking young, surrounded by older celebrities, drinking, clearly not fully in control of the situation. And names started getting thrown around. Other artists, other parties, other moments where he just didn't look comfortable. It stopped looking like a success story and started looking like exploitation. Now, on top of all that, there's this whole narrative about people allegedly trying to control Justin behind the scenes, like pushing for mental health labels, guardianship type situations, the same way things happened with other celebrities. And the only reason it didn't fully happen, because he's married to Hailey Bieber. And that's another thing people are side-eyeing. Because suddenly there are constant rumors about their marriage falling apart, divorce talk popping up randomly, and people are like, is that just gossip? Or is there a reason someone would want them separated? Because if you think about it, a single Justin is easier to control than a married one. And girl, once you start looking at it like that, it gets dark fast. Now let's talk about the one person who had been screaming about this kind of stuff way before it was trendy, Wendy Williams. Wendy had been talking about Diddy, Usher, all these connections years ago. And at the time, people dragged her, said she was messy, doing too much, making things up. But now people are going back and listening to what she said like it's evidence, because a lot of it lines up a little too well. And allegedly, when she pushed too hard, there were consequences, career-wise, publicly, everything. So now the conversation isn't just about Justin anymore. It's about the entire system. Who knew what? Who stayed silent? And why certain people were protected for so long? And honestly, the scariest part is not even what we know, it's what we don't. And this is where the story starts getting even more uncomfortable, because once people started digging, they didn't just stop at Justin. They went right back to Usher's early days with Sean Diddy Combs and what was really happening during that whole puffy flavor camp situation. Now, on the surface, it was supposed to be mentorship. You know, young talent being guided by someone already established. But Usher himself has said things that don't exactly match that clean image. He talked about being way too young in environments he shouldn't have been in, clubs, adult parties, situations where he felt out of place. And when you hear him say, "I wouldn't send my own kid there," it hits different. Because wait, you wouldn't send your own child there, but you were okay introducing Justin Bieber to the same man? That's the part people can't get past. And then you've got people who were around back then, like former insiders and bodyguards, hinting that Usher knows a lot more than he's ever said publicly. Like not just rumors, but actual things he witnessed. Things that allegedly happened right in front of him. And according to these claims, he's chosen to stay quiet all these years. Now, why would someone stay quiet about something like that? That's where loyalty comes in. Or fear. Or maybe both. Because if you really think about it, this industry runs on connections. You don't just wake up one day and decide to expose someone powerful without consequences. And Diddy, he wasn't just some random celebrity. He had influence. Real influence. Labels, media, relationships, everything. And that brings us to another layer people have been whispering about, the idea that certain people were protected no matter what. There were even claims that at one point, Usher had some kind of serious situation that landed him in the hospital. Now, the details are all over the place, nothing confirmed clearly, but the fact that stories like that even exist, that alone is enough to make people question what was really going on behind closed doors. And then came the rumors about health issues, alleged transmissions, all of that. Again, nothing proven, but when you combine those whispers with everything else people are now revisiting, it paints a picture that's not clean. And somehow, every road keeps leading back to the same few names. Then you have the Wendy Williams situation, which honestly deserves its own conversation. Because Wendy wasn't just randomly talking. She was very specific about certain people and certain behaviors. She hinted at compromising situations, talked about power plays, even claimed there were photos that could damage reputations. And what happened after that? She got pushed out. Now, officially, it was framed as industry, politics, disagreements, whatever. But people who believe these theories think it was way deeper. Like she said too much, too early, and the machine shut her down before she could go further. And if that's true, imagine how many others stayed quiet after seeing what happened to her. Now fast forward to Justin again. Because everything somehow circles back to him. There are clips from parties where he looks completely out of it. Surrounded by older artists, drinking, being hyped up, and just not looking like he's fully present. And people are now analyzing those moments frame by frame, asking what was really happening in those rooms. And it's not just about the parties. There are rumors, heavy rumors about certain interactions with other celebrities, names getting thrown around, videos being dissected, people claiming they saw things that didn't look right. Again, none of it confirmed, but the consistency of these stories, that's what's making people uncomfortable, because it's not one random claim, it's multiple over years. And then you start noticing something else. Justin's behavior over time, the ups and downs, the breakdown moments, the sudden withdrawals from certain people, the way he's spoken about feeling lost, used, overwhelmed. At the time, everyone blamed fame, pressure, growing up in the spotlight. But now, people are asking if it was more than that. And then comes the whole guardianship conversation. Because apparently, there have been attempts, or at least discussions, about putting Justin in some kind of controlled situation. Similar to what happened to other celebrities, where someone else handles your finances, your decisions, your life. And if that sounds familiar, it's because we've seen it before. The interesting part is, Justin didn't fall into that trap. And a lot of people believe it's because of Hailey Bieber, that having a spouse made it harder for anyone to step in and take control. So now, every time there's a rumor about their marriage falling apart, people don't just see gossip anymore. They see potential strategy. Like, is someone trying to isolate him? Because once you remove that layer of protection, everything else becomes easier. And I'm telling you, the more you sit with that idea, the more everything starts to feel connected. Like, this isn't just random celebrity drama. This is a pattern. And this is where everything starts to feel less like random gossip and more like a system that's been running quietly in the background for years. Because think about it. Every time someone gets close to saying too much, something happens. Careers shift. Narratives change. Suddenly they're labeled unstable, difficult, or not credible, and people stop listening. We saw it with Wendy Williams. At first, she was loud, unfiltered, saying things nobody else would touch. Then slowly, the conversation around her changed. It wasn't about what she was saying anymore. It became about her mental state, her health, her behavior. And once that narrative sticks, everything else gets dismissed. Now bring that back to Justin Bieber. For years, people joked about his breakdown moments, the arrests, the erratic behavior, the emotional interviews. It was always framed as child star gone wild. Fame got to him. He couldn't handle the pressure. But now people are rewatching those same moments with a completely different lens. They're asking, what if that wasn't just fame? What if it was trauma? Because when you really sit and look at his timeline, it's not just random chaos. There are patterns, sudden shifts, periods where he pulls away from certain people, times where he looks exhausted, disconnected, like he doesn't want to be in those spaces anymore. And then you remember how young he was when all of this started, and it hits harder. Now, let's talk about the Usher situation again, because that tension people keep mentioning, it didn't come out of nowhere. There have been whispers that something went down between them behind the scenes, not just disagreement, something deeper. There's even talk about a physical altercation at an after party. Allegedly, things got heated and Justin lashed out. And at first people were like, that sounds crazy. But now it's being looked at differently. Because if there's unresolved stuff there, if Justin feels like he was put in situations he shouldn't have been in, then that reaction doesn't seem so random anymore. It starts to feel like someone finally snapping. And then there's the business side of it. Because apparently, it's not just about personal issues. There are claims about money, management decisions, contracts, things that may not have worked in Justin's favor. Names like Scooter Braun and Lou Taylor keep coming up in these conversations. And if you've been following industry stories, you already know Lou Taylor's name has been tied to other controversial situations involving control and conservatorship-like setups. So when people say there were attempts to put Justin in a similar position, it doesn't sound as far-fetched as it would have a few years ago. And here's the thing that really gets people thinking. A lot of the celebrities who ended up in those situations had one thing in common. They were alone. No strong personal anchor, no partner. No one close enough to block those decisions. Which brings us right back to Hailey Bieber, because whether people like her or not, one thing is clear, her presence changes the dynamic. It adds a layer of protection. A second voice, someone who can question things, push back, or even just be there when decisions are being made. So when you see constant headlines about their relationship falling apart, people aren't just seeing celebrity drama anymore. They're asking, who benefits from that? Because if Justin is isolated again, everything becomes easier. And that's why the rumors about him exposing everything are getting so much attention right now. People feel like there's something sitting beneath the surface, something he hasn't fully spoken about yet. And honestly, even if only a fraction of these stories are true, it still raises serious questions about how the industry treats young talent. Because this isn't just about one person. It's about a pattern where young artists get pulled into powerful circles, exposed to things way too early, and then expected to just function like everything is normal. And when they don't, they get labeled, they get controlled, or they get silenced. Now, I'm not saying every single rumor out there is fact. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of exaggeration, and the internet loves to run wild with half stories. But what I am saying is this: too many pieces line up for people to ignore it completely. Too many old clips feel different now. Too many people hinted at the same things over the years. And when multiple stories from different angles